Do you or a loved one suffer from climate change denialism disorder, or CCDD? CCDD is a terrible, embarrassing disease. Millions of closed-minded people suffer from it, even some of your political representatives, including one handsome Speaker of the House. Symptoms of CCDD may include loss of friends, mental isolation, an inflated sense of self, belief in totally unsupportive facts, shifting blame, and a distorted view of reality just because it's snowing in Florida. It doesn't just affect the carrier, but family members and friends who don't want to listen to old-school bullshit. CCDD can make family dinners, holidays, and everyday life unbearable, but fortunately, there is a cure. It's called the AR5. After previous successful clinical trials, the AR5 is the fifth and most effective form of the treatment within a category of the IPCC. Does this sound too good to be true? Let's turn to Dr. Francesca Ake, one of the AR5's leading developers and scientists, for more information.
I'm Dr. Francesca Ake. The premise of the AR5 is that it infuses essential information about climate change into a CCDD victim brain by stimulating the frontal lobe, which is in charge of what we call common sense. Some of the information infused is that of the basis of climate change itself. See, when shortwave energy from the sun enters the atmosphere, various things happen. Some bounce off the atmosphere and never enter it. Some come into the Earth's atmosphere and go back into space, and some hit what we call greenhouse gases, which convert these short waves into long waves, also called heat. Naturally, this occurs within the atmosphere to heat our planet, and it's essential to our planet's health and life as we know it. As the levels of CO2 and other greenhouse gases increase, more energy is trapped inside the atmosphere rather than reflecting back into space. Therefore, more energy is converted into heat, which has global implications. Some of these many effects on the Earth's natural system include polar melt, jet stream shifting, sea levels rising, and much more. People suffering from CCDD are often too afraid to admit that this is actually happening despite claims on national news. This is especially frightening because of the contribution humans are having on the greenhouse effect as we emit more carbon into the atmosphere.
As you can see, since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, CO2 levels have gone up significantly. This is because of the burning of fossil fuels. This figure has been very successful in transforming AR5 patients.
It's not just natural, it's man-made. But don't trust me, trust the AR5. The AR5 is incredible in that it is actually learning through osmosis, and there have been amazing results in people of almost all sorts of CCDD strains. Let's hear from one of our successful patients. I suffered from climate change denialism disorder my entire life. My symptoms could be crippling at times as my mind refused to accept scientific fact. I truly felt that an increase in global temperatures was just a natural part of the Earth cycle. A good friend showed me a graph of the last 20 years, and it even looked like the recent temperatures were lower today than in the past. And I truly believed that these small changes in temperature were nothing to worry about and that they won't have any consequences. Even if they did, I thought it was out of our hands. I became hypnotized by the media and joined the Climate Change Exposure Task Force. It consumed my life. I worked tirelessly to refute the claims by scientists much more qualified than myself, and I wanted to prove that climate change is indeed a government-created conspiracy. I let it control my daily life. I was ranting about sunspots, controlling temperatures, and my most famous argument was that we didn't even know where CO2 came from for sure, but that it couldn't be from people because there was no evidence. It began taking over other parts of my life. I was even ostracized from my family. With the support of my friends who never gave up on me, I was treated with the AR5. I began to see the world in a new light. I saw that human impact is superseding the effects of the sun and sunspots, and that it is human. I learned that the burning of fossil fuels is to blame for putting carbon isotopes into the atmosphere in ratios that aren't naturally occurring. It's almost unfathomable to me now to see why I thought animals and plants were creating changes in the carbon levels that were out of the normal range. I just don't know. I began to see that 90-degree days in September is not something to celebrate or to see as normal. Now that I've recovered from my CCDD, I'm taking steps to help others.
AR5 has been an eye-opening and revolutionary drug for the tens of people who have completed the entire treatment. This does not include those who have read the accelerated drug course known as the Summary for Policymakers. Side effects may include headache, nausea, confusion, the realization that you've been wrong your entire life, an inexplicable urge to recycle, still an inflated sense of self, seeing the sun in its true light for the first time, and a sudden sense of belonging in intellectual society. Warning, results may vary. Only 97% of scientists have approved of this method of treatment. This message is not approved by most Republican politicians or the President of the United States.